Hello everybody, my name is Sunny Rabbit. In case you couldn't tell, we're headed back to the 4th territories to talk about Sunfall. Sunfall, well, Sunstar, is one of the most influential cats in Bluestar's life. He's also one of the only leaders that we know of that has not received their full 9 lives, with the other being Tigerstar II. He's probably one of the best leaders in ThunderClan, so let's take a look at his history in the Super Edition, Bluestar's Prophecy. In one of the very first instances we see him, Sunfall allows Blue Kit out of the camp and helps her climb up the ravine for the first time. She's apprentice aged at this point, so he trusts her to make the trek up there with little help. He instructs her on how to do the climb, but allows her to point the way once they reach the top. They head back when the Dawn Patrol finds evidence of Wind Clan stealing prey on their territory. Sunfall is cautious about jumping to conclusions when the crazy old goose feather gets the Volpelt sign. Attacking Wind Clan or delaying both carry risks for harming the clan. Ultimately, Pinestar chooses to attack Wind Clan, bringing Bluepaw and Snowpaw along to carry messages and help with wounded cats. This is actually a role we don't see apprentices get very often in more recent books. The last time message carrier battle apprentices were used was The Last Hope with Molepaw and Cherrypaw. Goosefeather receives another omen before the battle, interpreting it as a sign to destroy the enemy clan's medicine den. Sunfall is quick to oppose this decision as it would be harmful to every member of Wind Clan, not just their warriors. A handful of ThunderClan warriors see their own survival as necessary if attacking the medicine den is really what StarClan's message is. Pinestar, again, chooses to side with Goosefeather in StarClan's advice, targeting the medicine den supplies in the upcoming fight. When all goes terribly, terribly wrong, Sunfall floats the idea that Goosefeather's omen might have been influenced by the wishes of some of the clanmates. The argument about the battle diffuses as the vigil for Moonflower begins. And I must say, Moonflower dies in probably one of the most foreshadowed deaths in literature. She might as well have been wearing this hairstyle. She really set herself up for a tragic death. Anyways, Sunfall tries his best to comfort Bluepaw, explaining that she'll see her mother again in her dreams. Sunfall now becomes Bluepaw's mentor after Stonepelt retires. Stonepelt was injured in the Wind Clan battle and just never fully recovered. A winter hunting trip takes a sour turn when Bluepaw leaves the rest of her patrol. She's still grieving for her mother and hasn't been in the best of moods since. Sunfall has noticed the change in her behavior, asking gently what's wrong. Bluepaw gets defensive, so Sunfall has to ask more assertively to tell him what she's feeling. Bluepaw is still reluctant to talk, so her mentor has to address the problems she's been causing. Sunfall is disappointed in Bluepaw's recent actions. He knows his apprentice is still grieving for Moonflower, but he knows what Bluepaw is capable of. A few moons ago, she was more than willing to attempt to climb the ravine with little help. It's not a good sign that her clanmates are avoiding her due to her bad temper. Sunfall does his best to get Bluepaw to believe that Moonflower's death wasn't meaningless. Moonflower's death was no one's fault. She went into battle under the assumption that StarClan wanted it to happen. Whether they were right or wrong doesn't matter. They're all doing what they thought would defend their clan at the time. Sunfall can't see it, but the conversation ends with Bluepaw having her spirits lifted a little. I get the impression from Sunfall and his relationship with Bluepaw that he cares for her, and not in a mentor-apprentice kind of way. He's a father that she never had. Stormtail mostly ignores her and Snowpaw, but Sunfall seems interested in Bluepaw's well-being, even outside of being a mentor and apprentice. We've seen in the series several times that mentors are at least partly responsible for their apprentices' emotional well-being. They can confide in each other and get advice should a parent not be available for one reason or another. I'm not necessarily saying that this line is about Sunfall wishing Bluepaw was his kit with Moonflower. I think that Sunfall is just a father figure she was looking for the entire time. And I'm not saying that Sunfall and Moonflower's relationship was romantic. They could like each other platonically, but despite the initial opposition to the attack on Wind Clan, Sunfall does his best to defend ThunderClan's honor at the gathering. A little bit after this, Bluepaw then becomes a warrior, and the relationship is still the same. Sunfall is stern with Bluefur when he needs to be. Even when Bluefur is a warrior, he still regularly checks up on her and chides her when she makes a mistake. This behavior is understandable considering that Bluefur was his apprentice. Sunfall has to take on more duties when Pinestar begins to go to the two-leg place more often. He falls into the role well, especially when RiverClan takes Sunning Rocks back from ThunderClan territory. We see more and more of Sunfall giving orders outside of arranging patrols. He even lets Bluefur lead a patrol when she begins tagging along. At this point, Bluefur had been suspicious of Pinestar's whereabouts, so she was trying to get on any border patrol she could to find out where he was going. Sunfall was completely taken off guard when Pinestar announced his retirement from being leader. Sunfall had taken notes of the other clan's attitudes towards ThunderClan, so he isn't too far off the mark when he thinks that they wouldn't understand why Pinestar had to leave. During a time where ThunderClan was on the back foot having lost territory, bad relations with RiverClan and Wind Clan, and a leader who just abandoned them, Sunstar had the full approval of his clan, aside from Goosefeather, but he's just a hater. Sunstar was a stronger leader, closing off relations with kitty pets, but many in this clan still speculating when he would take Sunning Rocks back from RiverClan. Sunstar has to fall into the father role again when Snowfur dies. He has the same conversation with Bluefur as he did when Moonflower died. He tries to get Bluefur to realize that she can't be a good warrior to her clan or to honor her loved one's memories if she's stuck grieving all over the clan's camp. He knows Bluefur isn't a bad warrior and has always seen her potential. He just wants her to refocus her grief into something more productive to the clan so she can be the strongest warrior he knows she is. He's actually the one who helped convince her she needs to spend more time with White Kit. When she does, Sunstar tells her he's glad that she's making an effort again. Around this time, the ThunderClan deputy, Tawny Spots, grows weak with bouts of sickness. Adderfang steps in, but there's still talk of who will be the permanent replacement for the deputy. There's a few options. Stormtail, Adderfang, and even Thistleclaw gets floated around as possible choices. There's even more urgency in the issue when Thistleclaw is given an apprentice, Tigerpaw, which puts Thistleclaw in the running for a potential deputy. A few moons later, after Bluefur trains her own apprentice and Whitethorn becomes a warrior, Sunstar goes to take back Sunning Rocks, but in an unconventional way. He asks for it. This gets a few responses. Some think it's undignified to beg for their territory back. With ThunderClan being so strong, Sunstar thinks that RiverClan won't put up a fight for territory they don't need. After a bit of back and forth, Sunstar convinces the RiverClan leader, Hailstar, that Sunning Rocks is ThunderClan's again with no bloodshed. The next day, RiverClan sticks to their word and relinquishes Sunning Rocks to ThunderClan. There's this bit here which points out how RiverClan are physically different from ThunderClan cats. Their paws are bigger and their pelts are too clearly marked. I think this means their tabby stripes or spots on their fur are darker maybe. The allegiance just show a lot of gray and brown cats in RiverClan. Maybe he just had beef with Ottersplash in particular. Sometime after, RiverClan starts marking Sunning Rocks again. This takes place in Redtail's debt, not Bluestar's prophecy, which is where the bulk of Sunstar's appearances are. Sunstar, once again, takes a patrol of RiverClan's territory as a show of force. This time he wants a pinky swear that RiverClan will leave Sunning Rocks alone. The attack goes sideways when Bluestar's patrol shows up late. Sunstar isn't mad at the patrol for not showing up as one of the apprentices, Redpaw, was almost carried off by a hawk. I don't think he ever got that pinky swear either. Back to Bluestar's prophecy, Tawny Spots falls sick again and the chances that he will recover don't look good. Once again, the question about who will be deputy floats around. The clan thinks that Sunstar wants a cat with youth or a cat with experience, leaving the clear answers being Bluefur and Thistleclaw. Bluefur goes off on her date with Oakheart and later expects his babies. The other she-cats in the warrior den notice that Bluefur is going to have kits, and for some reason they ask her when she's going to tell Sunstar. I understand telling the leader because of patrols, but usually queens and their mates announce kits to the whole clan, not taking the leader aside to tell them personally. With kits on the way, Bluefur is worried that Sunstar is going to choose Thistleclaw to be deputy over her. She has to make a tough decision which would solidify her potential spot as deputy. Shortly after their birth, Bluefur's kits go missing, and Sunstar makes her deputy of ThunderClan in Tawny Spot's place. This bit here encapsulates Sunstar's leadership to a T. Sunstar isn't mouse-brained. I don't think that he would have made Thistleclaw deputy, even if Bluefur hadn't given up her kits. Sunstar understands that Thistleclaw is a loyal warrior, but he's too bloodthirsty to ever make a good leader or deputy. ThunderClan would have been thrown into endless battles for pretty much nothing with Thistlestar. That would be the exact opposite of what Sunstar's leadership is known for. Sunstar is a well-respected leader by all the clans at this point. In Redtail's debt, when Tigerclaw and Redtail have a confrontation with the Wind Clan patrol that ends with some blood being spilled, Stagleap says he's telling Heatherstar so Sunstar has a chance to make things right again, seeing as an apprentice was harmed. Now, Tigerclaw stretches the truth about the encounter to enrage Sunstar. Under normal circumstances, I doubt Sunstar would have reacted so poorly if Tigerclaw had told him what actually happened. Even after hearing Tigerclaw's spin on things, Sunstar still wants to find a peaceful solution without bloodshed. At the gathering, Heatherstar is willing to put the issue behind them, but Tigerclaw, the evil man that he is, goads Sunstar into a more aggressive reaction. Sunstar decides after the gathering to attack Wind Clan. He's probably still a little bitter about Sunning Rocks. That and Tigerclaw was lying through his teeth. His brilliant plan is to attack the Wind Clan camp. I actually think this is a funny parallel to Pinestar actually. Where Sunfall was more cautious about attacking the Wind Clan camp all those moons ago, Sunstar is here making the same mistake of antagonizing Wind Clan with the same dubious information. Bluefur at least tells Patchpelt to avoid attacking the Medicine Cat's den during the attack. The battle ends in failure as the ThunderClan patrol is outnumbered, and Redtail calls a retreat when Bluefur is heavily injured. A long time later, Sunstar confides in his deputy that he only has 3 lives left, since Pinestar kept 1 when he left ThunderClan. When he dies, he gives Bluestar a life of courage. Personally, I think he should have given her a life more suited to his own leadership, considering that Thistleclaw was a potential deputy choice all those moons ago. Something like harmony or stability. Anything that's a synonym for peace, really. Kinship could have been used if the authors were feeling spicy. Courage just feels a little too generic. When Redtail is killed by Tigerheart, Sunstar is there to greet him in StarClan. He assures the deputy that ThunderClan will be alright with the protagonist of the first arc being there. Sunstar was a great mentor, great deputy, great leader, and great father figure to Bluefur when she lost everything and everyone else. He seemed happy for her when she was expecting kids, probably glad that she was finally moving past her grief and starting a new family. An interaction that felt more like a father proud that he was having grandchildren than a leader congratulating a warrior on a new litter. He's probably one of the best ThunderClan leaders due to his track record of being peaceful, but not so much that he's a pushover. His reign only had a few blemishes on it, with some lost battles, and that's about it. His relationship with Bluefur is sweet, and I wish he had the confidence to tell Sunstar about some of the nastier actions Thistleclaw did, like attacking the kitty pet kit, an action that surely couldn't come back to bite them in the butt. I feel like Sunstar should have bent the rules to have someone like Adderfang hold the deputy position until Bluestar was able to take it up after her kits were grown. She wasn't going to be a queen forever, and giving Thistleclaw the position at any point in time would have been disastrous. As far as we know, StarClan never gave Sunstar the warnings about Thistleclaw having blood in his path. But Sunstar does have eyes in his head. My biggest criticism of Sunstar's leadership is that he places too much trust in his more battle-hungry cats. He values their loyalty to ThunderClan too much. That is ultimately a weakness when cats like Tigerclaw see their allegiance to ThunderClan as justifications for battles, murder, and revenge. I don't think Sunstar knew that Tigerclaw would turn out to be an evil murder machine, but giving an apprentice like him to Thistleclaw was ill-advised. Stormtail, Adderfang, or Sparrowpelt would have been better options. There were plenty of other loyal warriors in ThunderClan that also didn't try to throw themselves into battle every chance they got. He was very conscious of the relations with the other clans, but he wasn't really too concerned with keeping his own house in order. He should have got a spray bottle every time Thistleclaw or Tigerclaw would skulk around with murderous intent. If that didn't work, I heard a jar of pennies is very convincing. Overall, Sunstar was a strong 8 out of 10 leader, leaning more towards a 9 than a 7. Next week's video will be my first impressions for a book 4 of a starless clan, Shadow, so look out for that. It won't be an in-depth review, just a few thoughts that come to my mind and some speculating on the upcoming books. I'm still working on a Dawn of the Clans review. It's long, so it won't be done for a little bit, but I'm halfway through rereading the series as of now. The next talking about video will probably be Moonflower. I tried to squeeze her into this video, but it wasn't working out. Anyways, that's all I have to say. I'll see you next week.